Today's show is sponsored by the ABV Network Merchandise Shop. Pick up your logo merchandise by heading over to abvnetwork.com, clicking on Shop, and start filling your basket today. We are also sponsored by the Bar to Go. The Bar to Go offers a fully customizable carrying case that allows you to take your favorite distilled spirits or cocktail ingredients with you. Whether you're looking for something for yourself, a customized gift, or logoed items for your business gift shop, the Bar to Go can help. Check them out at thebar2go.com. That's the number 2 in the Bar to Go. Don't forget our friends at Neely Family Distillery now ship their unique distilled spirits directly to you. To order yours, simply call 859-394-3258. Tell them the ABV Network sent you. And now, on to the show.
Let's drink!
Welcome to the Bourbon Daily, the podcast about everything bourbon delivered to you every day of the week. Today on the show, we salute Steve's dad on show 1212. My name is Miss Beka Sue. Please join me in welcoming my co-host, Steve Akeley, along with our special guests, Bo Cumberland, Nate Weingar, and Evan Van Scoy.
Hey, gang, what's up?
Hey,
What's up, Steve?
Hey-o. So this is one of those shows where it's, no real format here. We don't have any agenda, let's talk about this and that. It's a tribute to my dad. He passed away on 12/12/12, so December 12th, 2012. And when I saw the show 12/12, it's if you lose a relative as close as your father or your mother, there's things that happen to you. And, one of the things, if it's a date that stands out like my dad's, that number will be stuck in your head forever. And anytime something comes up close to that, it'll immediately, send you off to think of that. So it's just one of those things that one of those triggers. It also puts kind of a divide in your life. It's a weird thing where everything I think about was my dad alive at that time? You see a celebrity, there was an incident, or you see a celebrity. I'll see a date when I'll be researching a celebrity, someone I'm interested in, and I'll see they died in 2010. I'll be like, oh, they died before my dad died. I don't know why you think like that, but it's a weird thing that happens to you when something that traumatic happens. So, but it's not going to be a down show or anything like that. We're going to have some fun talking about my dad and things like that after the break. Maybe talk about your guys' dads and, impact of fathers. It's not a Father's Day show or anything like that, but just tribute to my dad. We'll talk a little bit about that and what what I'm doing now means to me, something he never saw me do, but how he continues to inspire that. But before we get to that, Evan, you said there's something you wanted to talk about. What is that?
Yeah. So I like talking about fun activities, hobbies people have, what you're passionate about. We get in tons of long conversations about random stuff. Steve, what is something that your dad was passionate about, loved doing, an activity or a hobby?
Yeah, my dad had several kind of small hobbies, I'll say. I mean, he and I collected sports memorabilia and baseball cards. That was a little thing that we did kind of in, grade school to high school and even a little bit beyond. And we would continue to go to shows and things like that. Kind of probably the last decade of his life. So he died in 2012. Probably since 2002 on, we really didn't do a whole lot with it. But we always liked autographs and memorabilia. And he was a policeman, and he would collect police memorabilia and things like that. And he also liked to play cards. And he was a coin collector too. So he did like a lot of different little things, but he wasn't super passionate about any of those things. Any of those things wouldn't be anything you would define them by. Like sometimes people, if they get so into a hobby, you define them by that. I would say the thing that defines my father is he was a family man. So he was a guy who loved his job, a 5 a.m. to 8 o'clock at night type of guy, when he was a policeman, because he wanted to get moved up and promoted. And so I didn't see him that much, to be honest with you, other than if there was something going on. If I had a football game or we're back when I was in grade school, I played baseball. Suddenly he could get out of those things to come and watch that. He was a family guy, and he watched all of my kids' stuff. My kid played field hockey, or when she had Girl Scout events, or when she was in the Christmas pageant singing and stuff. This is a guy who hated any of that kind of stuff. But if it was a family thing, he was there. So I would say the ultimate thing that how I would define him as a good family guy. So nice. Yeah, so that's a little bit about him. And that's one of the reasons why I love and I continue to talk about my dad. He has nothing to do with what I'm doing now. I mean, I started doing all this stuff after he passed away, but he continues to drive you in many ways. If your father's going to impact you your whole life, your mother's going to impact you. And, I think about him and he helps, set the stage for a lot of things that I do, which is kind of cool. And I always think, what would he think about all this stuff? Because he knew me as a corporate employee, clean shaven, a guy who drank a little bourbon, had a collection, but never would have thought I could make a living in that. He was a big guy that, you keep the safety of a corporate job. Don't ever get out. That's what he did his whole life, whether it's the police department or working in the private sector after he left the police department. So it'd be interesting to get his take on all this stuff. But that's kind of preview of what we'll be talking about today. My dad and some of the things that I've done to honor him. We'll talk about that, some fun stuff. But before we get to all that, it is time to drink. What are you guys drinking? Let's start with Nate. Nate, what are you drinking there?
Well, we had a unique experience here a few weeks back with Chris Morris, where we actually took several Woodford barrels and blended into our own private pick. So it's kind of a super small batch, 2 barrels. So I'm going to have one of those that I liked Woodford Reserve. So
just hanging out with Chris Morris, no big deal.
Virtually.
Yeah.
There's no cork pop on these because
okay. There was a nice ring to it though. It had a nice ring.
That was me almost breaking my Glencairn. Sorry.
Okay. Miss Beka Sue, how about you?
I've got a special bottle that I saw out in my kitchen that I thought would be perfect for this one, which is some George C. Stagg, which is one of your favorites.
Absolutely.
And appropriate for your dad's tribute show to be drinking your favorite whiskey.
Oh, thank you.
So, yes, this is the 130.4 proof.
Okay. No noise there. No.
Squeaky.
Okay.
Oh, how about you? Eddie opened it before
he messed you up.
Eddie ran in here and snuck some pours of it after I told him not to because he didn't know I was trying to get a good pour.
It's Eddie's fault. All right. Bo, what do you got?
Usually I'm not good at this, but I thought this one through tonight. I'm not good at theming up bourbons I choose for the different shows, but because we're doing a kind of tribute show to your dad, I went with the Russell's Reserve, which is a good
father-son duo. Yeah.
Father-son duo. Yeah.
Oh, perfect. Okay. That was pretty good, Bo. That's going to be in the mix. Bo's got the lead. Evan, you're next.
All right. So my connection to the theme is I chose one with a little red label, little red top. All right. Little red boy. And it's a Traverse City whiskey, barrel proof in the smaller bottle. So,
okay.
Little redhead, all grown up. That was how I was connecting it to this. So Let's see if it can do anything.
Oh, yes. Yeah, that's the lead.
I was prepared for you're killing me, Smalls.
Proves that size doesn't matter.
There you go. How about that? All right, I've got just kidding. I've got Barrel Bourbon, the New Year release. So 2021 New Year release. Here we go. Cork pop. Nothing. Evan takes it. So congratulations to Evan. You are our show champion. And cheers, gang.
Cheers.
Okay, we'll take a quick break. And then when we come back, we'll talk about my dad and we'll talk about the folks' dads on this event. We'll do that in just a few. Hello, this is Steve Akeley, owner of the ABV Network, and let's talk for a moment about our sponsors, the people that make this show happen. First up is our friends at Moonshine University. In 2017, I completed my Executive Bourbon Steward certification at their office in Louisville. The information I learned through lead instructor Colin Blake and their team there is something that I continue to draw upon frequently in my role at the ABV Network. It truly is the standard of establishing a benchmark of knowledge of the bourbon industry. From history to production to brands and people, it's all there. Check out their full listing of programs, including Executive Bourbon Steward certification, production classes if you're considering starting a distillery, and much more at moonshineuniversity.com. I also want to talk about Neely Family Distillery. Back in May of 2018, I met Royce Neely at Limestone Branch's Craft Bourbon Festival. It ended up not only being the start of a great friendship, I started to truly learn about what makes craft whiskey so amazing. You see, I had been a bourbon drinker for over 30 years at that point, and like many people who had been drinking bourbon a long time, I was hard-coded into thinking big bourbon was where it was at and craft was on a journey to get there. Spending time with Royce and learning the things he does to make his whiskey taste better started to really get me to appreciate how things like sweet mashing, open top fermentation, pot distillation, and the grains you are using not only makes your product taste better coming off the still, but also out of the barrel as well. I still love heritage brands and they make up a bulk of my collection. But when you find a craft distiller that is truly dedicated to the craft of distilling, you are drinking some of the best whiskey out there on the market today. That's exactly what's happening at Neely Family Distillery today. Check them out on the web at neelyfamilydistillery.com, or better yet, stop by and see them at their distillery in Sparta, Kentucky. And now, back to the show.
Hi, this is Mr. Bill. You're listening to Bourbon Daily.
Welcome back to the Bourbon Daily. Today we're talking about Steve's dad on 1212.
Yes, we are. So my father, while I wish he was here for many reasons, one of them would be for advice. I mean, I talk to my dad every day and would talk about everything that I'm doing. Business decisions, things that are going on in your life, things that are going on with your family. He's a resource, a guy you can talk to about those things. And that becomes a big void. That's very difficult, to deal with. So you have to, change. It impacts your life in so many ways. And that's just one of them. But I try to keep the memory of my father alive. That's very important to me because especially if I've gotten in this, I've started this after, as I talked about before the break, I started all of this after he had passed away, but we've got a whole new audience here. I want him to know a little bit about my dad. I want, people to know who he is. I wrote a book about my dad. He has a biography out on Amazon. A guy who wasn't famous by any means, never did anything that would make him famous, but he has a biography just because I want it out there. I don't even care if it doesn't sell. It's self-published, so I can put it out there because I did. And it's just because I want that record of his life out there, which I think is kind of a cool thing. And then I do a party every year on 12/12 to celebrate his life. Didn't get to do it last year because of COVID. Still worried about that. We did a virtual thing, and which was kind of cool that we were able to get a group together, and it was kind of a neat free event that we did. And so, but I work hard to make sure that I don't forget, and that people know that he's important to me. So that's where it gets me to kind of the part of the show too, where I want to talk to you guys about your father and the impacts that your father had on you. So I'll just start out. Well, Evan, tell us a little bit about your dad and impact he had on your life.
That's a tough question.
This is a show where it's like we need a psychologist on set. Dr. Phil would be great on here for us.
So I'm going to go two routes on this.
Okay.
So if you want to follow me a little bit on the journey, I don't want to speak too ill of will on the deceased. So both my father and stepfather have passed. So I didn't have too much of my father besides he gave me life and half of his DNA. And I had a substitute dad for nearly all of my life.
Right.
But he was also a trucker. So he spent a lot of time on the road. Hands off to my full-time working single mother for the most part. And, but my dad's both gave me different parts: humor, personality. I had a dad who tried, but couldn't really fulfill that. And I had a dad who wasn't really around, but I was the son he chose.
Which is kind of cool, right?
Yeah. So they're both no longer with me. I will have a new dad soon. So once I marry Taylor,
father-in-law.
So ending on as funny as I could. So a somber note, but I wouldn't be the person I am without having those two dads. So I wouldn't change that. And I told my future father-in-law on Father's Day that, just so you know, I have two dead dads. That means you're next.
Oh, geez.
She's so seven.
Wow, that's a great
It
way
was
to think
Ending
about
on a somber note.
it.
No,
Yeah,
it's meant as a
hey,
joke.
the
But
levity is
you have,
great. Yeah,
you have to deliver it with severity, but it's a joke.
savage. Okay. All right. Miss Beka Sue, a little bit different note with you. Your father, someone who's very involved in your life. Great guy. All the things that you want with the dad. I mean, I know your dad a little bit. I met him through, talking when we're, virtually. So, I, met him over FaceTime and things like that and have some good conversations. He's funny, but I also know that he's a great resource for you to talk to. So tell us a little bit about your pops.
Ted is the epitome of a dad. I don't think that I could actually say my praises more to my dad than I really could. I am definitely more of a daddy's girl that my mom, I absolutely love her. I give her a lot of shit and I go, you guys know I have a favorite parent, right? And my mom's like, stop it. I don't want to hear it. She's like, we don't have favorites. And I'm like, we don't have favorites, but my mom really hates hearing that. But my dad, any time that I ever needed almost anything except for to get bailed out, my dad was always
But there was
there.
a lesson there too, right? Even that's a lesson.
They
Yeah.
told me when I was growing up that if I ever needed to be bailed out, to not ever call them. And so I never called my parents to be bailed out of jail. Luckily, it wasn't too many times, so it wasn't a big deal, but never got bailed out by my parents. But they definitely, my dad bailed me out of a lot of situations all the time when it just came to trying to figure out how to fix things because he's a handyman, like he can fix anything. Always one of the first ones to help you carry something in. Any time I needed anything fixed in an apartment where I should have been calling the handyman, my dad was there immediately helping me figure out what's wrong. We took apart one of my robot vacuums once, father-daughter team, just trying to figure out why it was broken. We got it fixed. And I always almost feel like I'm bragging whenever I talk about it, and I am bragging. Like I have one of the best dads that could exist. And I'm incredibly lucky, and I'm exactly who I am today, where I can fix a lot of things. I can work on a lot of things because my dad and my mom, who's also very handy, have just taught me to make sure that I'm independent and I can do stuff and it's not too big of a deal. But I call my dad. I usually don't do small talk with my dad. Like when we talk on the phone, it's for like an hour and a half to 2 hours. We don't, my mom and I will call just to check in on each other to make sure we're okay. Where with my dad, it's like, if we call each other, we're talking for 2 hours on the phone. And then I'm also incredibly lucky because my second dad now, Roy Neely, is also very much a handyman, helps you figure things out. He'll come over and fix things immediately. And so I'm really, really lucky. And I know that. And it makes me happy just seeing some of my friends, how, stuff has worked out with some other dads. It's like, I just know that I'm like the luckiest person with my dads.
Right. How about you, Nate? We never talked about your father or anything like that.
No, I really haven't. I did post a picture on Facebook a while back. We were in Glenwood Springs with my father, and we were on this crazy swing that went out over the cliff and was like a 900-foot drop or 1,000-foot drop. And I remember him laughing the whole time because I was absolutely petrified of heights, and I was squeezing that thing like you can tell from the picture, and he just thought it was the funniest thing, and I won't forget it. It was pretty good, but I'll tell you, I'm fortunate to have my dad. I was actually adopted. I was adopted into two fantastic parents, and very fortunate for that. And my dad was an artist, and I think I got a lot of creativity from him. But he's also a perfectionist, which is kind of ironic. He's like an artist and a perfectionist, and I remember sometimes getting frustrated because when he puts something together, he follows the directions to a T, but it's not just that. It's like tightening the screws equally. Instead of me, I'm just like, dun, 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 and then it doesn't ever fit right. So, patience.
Right, it's a little cattywampus, as they say.
Yeah, he does things like that. He's very creative. he got me into some sports. He was always around when I was practicing and when I was younger, both my mom and him. So very fortunate to still have him. And we go and play golf on usually Father's Day, and his birthday is actually coming up here in a few days. So happy birthday, Dad. And yeah, you know what? He's not a whiskey guy. It's kind of funny. I actually got him one of our Four Roses picks, and that was the first real bourbon that he had really kind of tasted. And then he started a tradition with his golfing buddies. He kept that bottle in his bag, and they would all take a pour of it before they'd start their round. So it was kind of cool that he got into that and got a little interested into the whiskey because of some of the things I was doing. So
yeah,
kind of cool too.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Bo, how about you and your dad?
I would say me and my dad have a complex relationship.
Right. It happens.
In that, when I was younger, I say from birth probably to my 20s or 30s even, we didn't really have much of a relationship, and I would chalk that up to 100% my fault, just like, well, 50% my fault, 50% his fault, whatever. But like Evan, Evan's stepdad, my dad was a truck driver, so he was gone all the time. He was, kind of MIA, and when he was home, he was off, hanging out with his friends and playing golf with his buddies and doing this. So
Yeah.
we had a, kind of, that kind of relationship. There was probably a point in time where in my early or late teens and early 20s, when I was kind of making decisions based on what kind of man I wanted to be, I would tell people I would take what my dad would do and do the opposite. Right. Now that I'm a man, an older man myself, and I realize, the sacrifices that he made and the things that he did, I don't say that anymore because, now I understand more about what it's like to be a supporter of a family or whatever. And I also have a 19-year-old son, and he and I have kind of the same relationship me and my dad had. We don't see eye to eye on anything. And, I try to show him as much grace as I can, but we're just kind of like that. Now, going back to my dad, over the past probably 5 or 6 years, there was a point in time where he would be the last person I would have ever called for advice or consultation or anything. But now he's grown into the one person that I want to call whenever I have good news or whenever I have questions. He's become that person over the past few years, and even in my bourbon journey, he drinks every once in a while, but he's not a connoisseur of bourbon or anything.
Yeah.
But he gets super excited about the things that I do and the opportunities I have. So I mean, it's pretty cool to see this come full circle, because there was a point in time where I thought, my dad's gonna die and it's just gonna be like, oh well, but I got to see that come full circle. And I think I have a much more appreciative relationship with him now than I think I probably would have if we had just been kind of average all the way through, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So there you go. I mean, you got to hear the stories of our fathers and all different and all across the board, but ultimately they have an impact on us through science, the DNA, and then who we are, our interactions with our fathers. So, but it also goes to show you even the difference that we talked about here, from very close, talk to every day, to didn't have much relationship. It's amazing how you can look back on it and then see how that's helped form you as a person. And all the people here are great people. You can see that no matter what your situation is, that you can come out of that and learn from that. And if you dedicate yourself to it, be a good person. And I know, I've seen Bo as a father. I know that, maybe he didn't have a role model, but, he and little Bo Jr., his youngest younger son, very close. And it's like, you see that really cool father-son relationship, that you want to have there. Evan has no kids yet. He's getting ready to be married in November, but he talks about, he'd like to have, 3 kids. And I'm sure he'll be a great dad. So, the lessons that he's learned have helped form him. And sometimes it might be just doing the opposite of what, but you do those things. And I know it impacted me. I talk about how great my dad is and all that, but that work thing, that sucked. That those 16-hour days and all that, and being gone all the time. Now he would come to my basketball games or whatever that kind of stuff was, but those long hours, that sucked. And my mom would be mad about it, and she'd be bitching about it. That man, and would get us all going. It would sucked. But and you think I would never do that. If I have kids one day, I'm going to be with them. And so it does kind of form you. And even a person I speak highly of, there was faults there, but it's our families. We can't change that. And it is what it is. And they help make us who we are today. So cool topic today, very off the bourbon stuff that we normally discuss, but I appreciate you guys doing that. I like talking about my dad every once in a while, and this was a good opportunity to do so. And I liked hearing the stories of your father. So thank you guys for sharing. We'll wrap this one up as we always do by talking about where people can find us. Evan, we'll start with you. Where can people find you?
I'm on Facebook, Evan Van Swick, and Instagram, Wit Wisdom Whiskey.
All right, Nate, how about you? Where can people find you?
So we're on Instagram at Just Another Sticker Club and club.com.
All right, Bo, how about you?
Legit.
Yeah.
I'm on Facebook and Instagram under Bo Cumberland and Bourbon Sasquatch, and I'm also on YouTube under my journey through the American Spirit.
All right, Miss Beka Sue.
You can find me on Twitter and on Instagram at Miss Beka Sue, 1K, no C's.
All right, for me, I'm an easy guy to find. I'm at Steve Akeley on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook. I've got a website, steveakeley.com. We've also got a company website, that thing's abvnetwork.com. Check it out because everything that we do is out there. Previous shows, blogs, so much more, abvnetwork.com. Miss Beka Sue, anything else to say before we get out of here?
I'd just like to remind the audience to please give your dad a hug and also to give us a 5-star review that includes comments. It helps when people find the show, which is very important to us. If you like what we're doing, we ask you please visit our Patreon page at patreon.com/the ABV Network.
The ABV Network. Some of the things that happen in life are crazy. And when you lose a parent or someone that you're really close to, whoever that might be, you look for signs. Are they still involved in your life? I know when my daughter's field hockey team had their big banquet, because I was really kind of upset. It was the first thing that my dad missed after he passed away. And I was like, shit. If there's any chance he could dig himself out of that grave, he would be here. He's just that type of guy. And, the show 12/12, this is a weird thing. 12/12, the show 12/12 falls on September 7th. September 7th is my mom's birthday. Happy birthday, Sandy Akeley, my mom. Kind of cool that this show fell on that date. I think it's a cool thing because we don't want to forget moms. We're talking about dads today. Moms are equally, if not more important. We know that. So moms play a big role. My mom certainly has played a big role too. So on that note, just want to say happy birthday to my mom. We'll have a brand new show for you guys tomorrow. Looking forward to that. Until then, take care, everybody. See ya.
Bye.
Bye.
Cheers.
Peace. Before we finish the show, let's chat for a moment about Moonshine Still Pro. Moonshine Still Pro has a full line of products to help the home distiller. Whether you just want to experiment on a small scale on the stove in your kitchen or try your hand at a bigger setup in the backyard, Moonshine Still Pro can help. They have different still offerings as well as accessories and even grains from Goldstone Mill to help you make whiskey on par with what you get from your favorite distillery. They can even assist with a DIY still project by supplying some of the parts you can't make yourself. Check them out at moonshinestillpro.com. At the ABV Network, we're lucky enough to have some great friends. Amongst those friends is the Goldstein family, owners of Goldstone Mill. Goldstone Mill is a full-service mill offering a variety of heritage and heirloom grains. Their unique approach of working with mills around the country allows them to offer you affordable shipping opportunities to meet the unique needs of your distillery or brewery. They will consult with you to ensure the grains you are selecting meets the unique flavor profiles you are looking for. If you are a home brewer or distiller and you're looking for the grains that your local distillery or brewery uses, Goldstone Mill is the place to look. Check them out on the web at goldstonemill.com, call them at 217-254-6613, or shoot them an email at hello@goldstonemill.com.
The Bourbon Daily is part of the ABV Network. For more information or to become a sponsor, please visit abvnetwork.com. Thanks for listening, and cheers.
This has been a Steve Akeley production.